Okay, hello. So let's see. Welcome everyone. I hope this works. We'll find out in a minute, but it seems to work. Cool. So I want to welcome everybody, and before we get started, anybody who currently lives in Thailand or east of Thailand, Happy New Year to you. Anybody west of Thailand, Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to you once you have you reach midnight. So really excited today. I've worked on my book called A Smart Guide for Your Career as a Software Engineer for the last about 6 months or so. It's been a long journey. I've done quite a bit of work on it. It's my second book. I released one in June that I quite enjoyed writing. This was a technical book. Now this one here, the current book is a new, how do you call it? It's a book about a career. So I want to walk you through my experience. I want to talk to you about the book itself. I'm going to open up the cover, which I can finally reveal. I'm really excited about that. And then I'm going to walk through the agenda, the table of contents to kind of show you what's in there and why it would be interesting to you. So first things first, there is a live chat. I see some people already chatting. Thank you for the congratulations. Use that if you have questions. I'm more than happy to stop and answer questions as we go along. And if not, then we'll go through that and we'll see how that goes. A couple things I want to talk about. So the agenda of the next 30 minutes or so is I do want to talk about myself a little bit. It's not something I do really well, but I want to do it anyway because it's important to show you why I came to the point in my career where I decided to write a book about my career. So after that, I'm going to reveal the book cover and then we're going to dive into the book. And then lastly, we are going to actually publish the book. So if you haven't purchased it yet, it's a good time to do it right now. And we're going to also increase the price, obviously, after that, as I announced all along. Now, a little bit about myself and to give you an idea of who I am and why I'm writing this book. I was reflecting on my career, and it came to light that really everything started when I was about 12 years old, and my dad bought a computer. It's not exactly a laptop or anything. Back then, it was very old school. But what happened was I broke the thing. As a 12-year-old does, you start playing around and you're like, well, what happens if I delete this file or that file? And everything worked until we restarted it, and then nothing worked. So we went from, fantastic, we have a computer, to like, Mike, what the heck did you do? And what happened after that is my dad gave me two options. And he basically said, look, you broke it, so you have two options. You go fix it, or you buy a new one with your own money. Now, the challenge you have, and you probably know that, the challenge you have as a 12-year-old, your cash flow is not exactly at its best shape, right? So I couldn't really afford a new computer. And the other option was to fix it. So I started going to my neighbor who had a similar computer. And I literally would walk back and forth the street and compare file system and copy files over to my laptop or my computer until we got that back up and running. Now, that was all good and fun, and I actually really enjoyed it. And then what I noticed is that I can use that computer to do a lot more stuff. The main thing I did shortly after that was I basically started to let the computer do my homework. And the way that worked is that if you have math or like even physics examples and tasks for school, you get like one page of all explanations and then like page after page after page with the same kind of pattern. So I used to write software programs that I could feed in the question from the book, like 2a plus 5 equals 2a plus 2a plus 5 equals x plus 1 or whatever, and figure out what is x. And what I would do is write programs that would take these equations and basically spit out x equals the result. That was great, and teachers eventually caught up on that, and they wanted to see the steps of how you got there. So I would adjust the program to print out the steps as well. Anyway, it's all fun. And at the time when I was 16 years old, In Switzerland, you get to a point where you have to make a decision. You can either go to school for another 4 years, and then you can go to university for another 4 years, or you can do a vocational training on pretty much any job you want. It could be a carpenter, or it could be a software engineer. So I already knew what I enjoy doing in my spare time, which means that I was looking for a company where I could join software engineers that work professionally every day, and I could join them, learn from them, and participate in development. That's what I did. I did that for 4 years, and then moved to Canada, and I started to work for startups, and I grew with them to like a Series A, and kept on going until I got acquired, moved on, did it again. I had my own business for a long time, worked on all kind of stuff. I helped startups, I helped big companies. So lots of stuff throughout the years, always related to software engineering. Then about 2 years ago, I joined Google, which was a complete shift in what I've done so far. And basically, I went from small, medium, size companies to this large enterprise, and everything changed. Everything was new. But one thing that always stayed constant across my entire career was that I was involved in hiring, on both sides of the table, right? I was a candidate very many times, but also I interviewed hundreds of people by now and reviewed even more resumes throughout my career. And all the things I've seen, and the good things, the bad things, that's all part of the book that you get access to. So with that in mind, I took all that, and I also started mentoring people about 10 years ago. So I did a lot of one-on-one mentoring to help others get jobs at Twitter and Microsoft, Salesforce. Like they came from straight out of university or changing their careers, and we kind of worked together towards a goal, and they achieved that and moved on. It was all good fun. Now, with that in mind, I've clearly had quite a bit of experience with careers and hiring, and sadly firing people. And what I want to do next is I want to jump over to showing you the book cover, and feel free to comment and let me know what you think. So I'm also actually testing my new live streaming software, so bear with me as I click around and figure things out. What we want to do is, I think, show that, make myself smaller. So this is the cover that a designer came up with. Lots of nitpicking, lots of changing things to make it exactly the way I want it. Hi Hans, good to see you. So nice, that looks amazing. Happy to hear that, because basically I wanted to represent what the book is all about. You can see people helping each other. You can see kind of comfortable working from home, the guy in the middle. Anyway, and everybody's working on that same puzzle to get to a point where they're building this software. But I'm glad this finally came in. I actually got the last version of the cover just about 8 hours ago. So, talking about getting stuff done at the very end of your timeline, this is how it works. Now, the other thing I want to do is jump over to, hang on, let me get my mouse. Jump over to this tab where this is part of the book, and it's basically the high-level chapters of the book itself. So let me walk you through and talk about what's in each one of those. Now, why become a software engineer? I think the world is changing, and I think we all see that as well. What's happening is that software eats the world. I think it's the best way to say it. And I believe if you want to get the flexibility of working from home and spending more time with your family, being a software engineer is probably one of the easiest ways to do that. So I'll talk about that. I also talk about reasons I think are not good to become a software engineer. So I'll walk through that, and I ask you actively to think about why do you want to become a software engineer, and then you can compare your own answers with the answers in the book that I think are good and not so good. Then we're moving on to how to become a software engineer. This is I could write a book about that just on its own, obviously, but how to become a software engineer is really about what I call the 5 Ps. And we'll get into that. It's projects all the time, working on something concrete, not just doing online exercises. It's about public, share whatever you do. It doesn't matter if you think it's good or not, things like that. So I talk about the 5 Ps, and I talk about how to study, how to find time every day, depending on your lifestyle, things like that. Then we talk about the job search itself. So when you're new, it still exists. I'll update that. So when you're new, you have to find a job, or even if you already have a job. So I'll talk about templates that you can use that I provide as well, where you track everything that's going on, you take notes, you look out for certain things, red flags and whatnot. And then we talk about the resume. We go into sections that I think are absolutely a must of every resume. We talk a little bit about the design of a resume. We talk about what absolutely not to do in a resume, things like that. So, read that and apply it to your own resume. I know that some of my friends who helped review the chapter or the book, they quite appreciated that and made changes to their own resume as they went through that. So that was quite exciting. And then we have a fairly large chapter about interviews. Interviews span not just the moment when you talk to the company, but all the way from the beginning of preparing, researching the company, all the way to following up on your interviews, things like that. Once you had your interviews and assuming everything went well, the next step is offer negotiations. Now, to be completely honest, this is something that a lot of people are not very good at. And I think this is really just a matter of how good of a salesperson are you. And in any job really, but in software engineering, I feel especially, you always have to sell things, either yourself, your software, your ideas, your architectures, you always have to sell. So offer negotiations, that chapter gives you my experience of how I did that very poorly at the beginning and how I progressively got better at negotiating my salary as I became more aware of how the whole ecosystem works with recruiting agencies, in-house recruiters, all that stuff. Then we're going to talk about the first day. That has dramatically changed, obviously, with 2020, everybody's sending everybody home. But still, I want to talk about a few things that are important on your first day, as well as on your first 100 days. When you have executives that join a company, they often get this like 100-day grace period of showing their impact and things like that. I personally believe this applies at any level at the company. The first 100 days often relies or corresponds closely to your probation period. So I think it's very important that you plan these 100 days and you make sure that you work towards a goal that you can show the impact to the company at the end of your 100 days, so that, well, first of all, you keep your job, but also to establish yourself as somebody who adds value to the business, to the team, and maybe even to the industry if you think really big, right? Now, once you've been at a company for a while, you will want to think about promotions. And I'm talking about promotions at smaller companies as well as promotions at a company like Amazon, Twitter, Google. So it's a very different approach. The way to get promoted is completely different. And I'm talking about how to do that, how to prepare for it, and how to make sure that you stand out compared to your colleague in a small company or the 100 other people that are trying to get promoted at a large company when it's the promotion cycle. We're going to talk a little bit about teamwork. That the chapter itself focuses mainly on challenges with your team members or your boss or people working in another department. It's not talking about how to best work together, because I think there's books out there that help with that. This is more about conflict resolution and getting along with people. And then sometimes you just don't get along with people, which leads us to the last chapter, which is leaving the company. I think leaving the company is just as important as everything else we talk about in the book. The reason for that is that every time you leave a company, you kind of leave a legacy. And if you live in the same city and you work in the same city, people get to know you. Like I'm known in Vancouver as the React guy, and getting rid of that image about you is really hard. So when you leave your company, you always want to leave on a good foot, like always want to leave on a good note. And you never know, like your manager may leave, join another company, you apply there, and if they don't like you, it's going to be really hard to get a job. Awesome. So this is the book. I think it's about 50 something pages long, so lots of content. The other thing I want to talk about real quick is that there are about 5 or 6 templates that I created for your job search, for promotions, for your personal development plan. So these assets are available to everybody who already bought the book in pre-sales, and everybody who buys it today, kind of before we increase the price. So that's cool. That should give you an idea to get started. And these are templates that I've personally used for my career. So I literally took what I had, removed my content, and added a column or a row with descriptions of what I expect you to put into these different columns and documents. So that'll help you get started. Just looking on the stream, are there any questions on the content? Is anybody curious about anything, or any comments or feedback at all? Just give that a second to see. If not, then that's really the main content of what I wanted to show. The last thing we're going to do then is to upload the PDF and publish that. I read the book. It's fun to read and covers from the essential knowledge to hidden tricks that I didn't know before for junior. Nice. Thank you, Flying Soap. Yeah, so I think that's the comment covers it really well. I really tried to capture the whole spectrum from junior to senior, from small company to large company, from good things to bad things, to the full range of things. So I was actually planning to click. So I have the Gumroad page over here, and I wanted to click the release button live on the stream. The problem is I realized just now when I clicked around that these links don't seem to actually work anymore because I arranged a few things. So I am going to not do that on the live stream, but do it in the next 5 minutes. Hang on, can you tell us something about your next projects, including books and other stuff? Oh yeah, what's next? Yes, I can. So this is my second book this year. So, well, anyway, this year is done, but I think I've written enough in the last 12 months. I'm getting to a point where my keyboard and my fingers need to rest. But what I am working on at the moment is a web analytics platform that allows you to track your users without, how do you say that? It allows you to track your website users without hurting their privacy. So instead of using cookies, for example, to track what they're doing on the internet, my solution doesn't use cookies and basically allows people to opt out if they feel like. And there will be ways for individuals to go in and say, like, I don't want to be tracked, and they can then submit a request to get their data deleted. So this is kind of the main project for 2021. The other thing I'm going to focus on is I want to do a lot more live streaming. The main reason is that I work on my project, an hour a day or more sometimes. And what I want to do is, instead of just working by myself in isolation, I know there's a lot of people out there who want to learn from my experience, or generally from people who do stuff. So I will basically just record whenever I work on my project and live stream that to my software architect YouTube channel, so that people can stick along and find out what's going on, tag along, learn things. Obviously combined with fully open source, writing blog posts about interesting things I learn, and making sure I can help level everybody else up as I go along and build my product. So that's the main thing that's next. But the other thing, obviously, you never know. I didn't expect to write 2 books in 2020, so I may write another one, but not right now. I think for the next 3 to 6 months, the focus is on my project and get some people on that. Talking about that, there is one thing. I will release a blog post tomorrow about my 2021 goals. So there's content in there where I will publish my OKRs, my objectives and key results, publicly, so people can follow along. They can see how I'm doing towards my progress and my goals. But stay tuned for that on my blog tomorrow. There'll be a lot more. Awesome, cool. So thank you very much for joining. Unfortunately, we cannot publish live right now, but I'll do that in a minute. If you purchase the book already, you will get an email. The PDF will be attached. I will follow up with mobile versions as well, EPUB and probably Mobi as well. So you can read that at your leisure on your tablets. Cool, yeah, so thanks very much. We are going to close this off, and it was great fun. I'm looking forward to doing more of those and getting to connect with the people a lot more that follow me on Twitter and dev.to and wherever else you follow me. So really excited to connecting in 2021. And as I said, Happy New Year, and we'll be in touch very soon. So one is I see, will we get some discount? So basically what I suggest is you buy the book in the next 5 to 10 minutes before I increase the price. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer, so everybody who's watching that video live has a time to get it. And then I will increase it after that. So if you want to get it at half price, now is a good time. And what else we got? With 2 books published in a few minutes, will your new car be silver or gold plate? Well, yeah, that depends. I left the price tag open, so you can donate as much as you want, as much as you think is worth. So yeah, I'll take a picture. I don't think I'll buy a car this year, or this next few days. So appreciate the positive outlook though. Cool. Thanks very much. I'll be in touch. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so now to my channel, and you'll get a lot more technical content very soon. Awesome. See you guys later.